Hello everyone, I want to expose something about AMC's The Walking Dead. The whole series has become one giant psyop. Of course, everybody is talking about the Season 7 premiere, where we saw the devastating results of Negan's introduction. But I want to analyze what it is. Why is it that certain people were selected for execution, and then what is it about the rest of the clan that are left behind? Why is it that they are left behind? I think there's a very clear political and racial agenda here. Number one, the first victim, and of course there's going to be spoilers. I'm sure everybody has seen the episode, but spoiler alert, okay, here we go. The first victim was Abraham. Now I think we can all agree that Abraham was the white man's white man. He was strong, tall, rugged, essentially, and most importantly, he was not politically correct. He had the best dialogue of the whole series. I mean, he would just say whatever is coming in his, come to his mind, and he would just say it with that, that southern charm. He was a straight shooter. Again, a white man's white man. And he was, boom, he was immediately executed. And then the second victim was Glenn. Why was Glenn picked? Well, he's Asian. He's the only Asian person in the Walking Dead universe. And pretty much with the character Glenn, with him being gone, you pretty much don't have any more Asian people on TV anymore, okay? Except for like one or two buffoon characters, you don't see Asian male characters on TV. Boom, they're gone. So it's symbolic in the way that liberal Democrats hate Asian people. I go back to the Los Angeles Times article where it was confirmed and it exposed that liberal universities, they deploy this system where they target Asian people and they assign them -50 bonus points on their standardized testing because there's too many Asian people. And so there is a systemic racism by the liberal machine against Asian Americans. And what you saw, the brutal death of Glenn, the brutal execution, that was a perfect metaphor of just how much vitriol and hatred the liberal machine has towards Asians. So I don't think that it was any mistake why those two characters were picked. And now you have to consider why the rest of the people, the survivors, are surviving in the first place. I mean, basically you have Rick, who is the leader of the show, but you know that Rick is politically correct. I mean, he has, he has to basically, he's like a corporate man. He's like the corporate white man. He's white, yes, but he's the corporate white man. He's the white man that's following rules. And you notice that when Negan was in the process of breaking him, he made it a point saying, I have to break you. You can't look at me that way. So we saw basically a portrayal of a proud white man transitioning to a cowardly corporate white man. A white man that's a yes man. Yes to the corporation. Yes to the corporation because he needs that pension and his 401k plan. He's a very corporatized person. So we basically seen the deaths of two white people. First, the white man's white man in the portrayal of Abraham. And then we saw the death of the white man's spirit in the breaking of Rick. And then the other characters, I mean, let's face it, we have a couple of African Americans, Hispanic Americans. These are the demographics that the liberal Democrats love to pamper. I mean, it's always about the blacks, it's always about the Hispanics, and let's roll out the red carpet for African Americans and Latino Americans. And so it's no wonder why, and it's no surprise why African American characters and Hispanic characters are chosen to survive. They are the pet projects and the pet puppets of the liberal democratic machine. And then you have a couple of gay people on both the Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Again, gays are a favorite pet project, favorite puppets of the liberal agenda. They want to promote homosexuality. They want to promote the destruction of the family. And also, that's also why Glenn was picked, because he's Asian and he's also a family person. He's a family man. They're going to grow a family. Same thing with the white man Abraham. They had to kill Abraham because he was falling in love and he was going to start a family. And we can't have a white man's white man starting a family. Just like we can't have the Asian guy starting a family as well, because they're going to create progeny that are going to be thinking for themselves, that are not politically correct. Whereas Rick and his family, they can survive because they are politically correct. They've been re-educated. They are corporate yes men. So they're white on the outside, but on the inside they're no longer white. So we saw a racial destruction there. What we saw in that season 7 premiere was the destruction of freedom. We saw the destruction of independence. We saw the destruction of independent thinking. We saw the sadomasochistic fantasy of liberal Democrats of beating down those who would dare challenge the politically correct agenda, beating down those who would challenge the status quo that the liberals are trying to impose. This is definitely an agenda. And you have to ask yourself, well, who's creating the agenda? Well, of course, that is Hollywood. Then you have to ask the fundamental question, who runs Hollywood? Well, according to LA Times journalist Joel Stein, he said that the Jews totally run Hollywood. But what Mr. Stein really means is that the Pharisees and Sadducees, the modern day Pharisees and Sadducees, the elite, are controlling Hollywood. That's what we mean. We don't mean the average Jewish family controls Hollywood. No, no, no. We're talking specifically about modern day Pharisees and Sadducees, the people whom Jesus referred as a brood of vipers. That's what we're talking about. That's who our enemies are. The elite. Back then, the Pharisees and Sadducees were the religious elite. They poisoned the minds of the community. And they poisoned their minds so that they became a stumbling block to people who wanted to have a genuine, saving relationship with the Lord Jesus. That's why Jesus spared his most biting criticism against the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Well, it's the same principle here. The modern day Pharisees and Sadducees, they're not quote-unquote religious leaders, but in many ways, the mainstream media is a religion. We all worship on the altar of the television screen or the computer screen. Media is our new religion. Media is our new God. And so you can definitely say that the elites that control Hollywood, the Pharisees and Sadducees, they are the modern day religious leaders, the religious elite. And they are poisoning the minds not only of their own community, but the entire world. Thanks to Hollywood, the United States is the machine, the albatross. We perpetuate and proliferate all the violence and the debauchery to the rest of the world. And I think it's very powerful that we do this. And we continue to do this. And nobody dares criticize, nobody dares point the finger at who controls this agenda, this Hollywood agenda. We fear pointing out the finger because of the fear of being called racist or anti-Semitic. But the facts are the facts. That's why Jesus leveled his most pointed criticism at the religious elite, at the Pharisees and Sadducees. And my friends, I'm here to tell you that the Pharisees and Sadducees are still here today, in this age. They're just called Hollywood.